news. At Gino's Diner earlier today, police report heroin found in a spare tire of a truck belonging to the Dearborn Express line is part of a major drug ring stretching over the East Coast with a suspected headquarters in Richmond. The police also suspect Capital Distributors, a company thought to be a front for organized crime, may be involved. The investigation is continuing and further arrests are anticipated. In other news, a semi-trailer overturned on Highway 60.
Hello.
Vince, this is Nick. When I docked, they said there was a message to call you.
There's been another bust. Gino's Diner. I think somebody tipped off the police. Weaver's being held at the station, so is Charles.
Busted.
Yeah, and I want to see you in your office first thing in the morning. I don't like any of this, Nick. You've got some explaining to do to me.
I told you this whole thing is crazy. I was just getting something to eat when you guys showed up. What do you want from me? How many times do I gotta tell you?
As long as it takes, Weaver. We'd like to clear up a few things. Now, who hired you?
Don't answer that, son. Don't say another word.
Oh, great.
Captain, have you informed this young man of his right to remain silent?
Of course we did. Are you his lawyer?
I'm a friend of Mr. Weaver. Unless he is accused of perpetrating a crime, in which case I'm also his lawyer.
I'm not involved in any crime, Mitch. I've been trying to tell these guys that I didn't do anything.
And I told you to be quiet. Now, Captain, what is the charge against this young man?
He's being held for questioning, smuggling and transporting a Class A drug, heroin.
Very serious charge?
Also a very serious crime.
I told you, that's crazy. I was just driving the truck.
May I have a word with Mr. Weaver, sir?
Okay.
In private?
Be my guest.
You are in a lot of trouble, son. Now, I'm going to ask you one question, and I want a straight answer. Did you in any way, shape, or form know anything at all about what you're getting involved in?
No, I didn't, Mitch. I swear it.
You didn't know anything about drugs being transferred to that truck?
No. Believe me.
I do. All right, come on. You do exactly as I say. Captain, because of the serious implications for which Mr. Weaver was arrested, and because we believe him to be entirely innocent of this charge, I recommend that he tell you everything he knows in order to help your investigation.
Well, now, that's very nice. Please, have a seat, Mr. Weaver.
Yeah.
Now, as I asked you before, who hired you?
Charles Carpenter. He got me the job driving for Dearborn Express. I had to take it. I needed the money.
And what were your orders?
Just to drive, that's all.
Now, you tell me exactly what you did yesterday up until the time that you were arrested.
Well, I got out of class, and I took the bus from Kingsley to Richmond. I had to go over to the Dearborn Express to pick up my bill of lading.
Who gave it to you?
A guy by the name of Norm Elliott.
What then?
Then I asked him what I was hauling, and he told me Oriental rugs, paintings, things like that.
Yeah, go on, go on.
Then he told me that part of my instructions was that I was supposed to stop off at this Gino's Diner.
And didn't you think that was just a little strange?
Well, yeah. I mean, no. At the time, all I was thinking about was wringing Elliott's neck. I took the truck out onto Highway 8, and I stopped off at Gino's around 7:30. The next thing I know, you guys are swarming all over the place. Now, that's the truth. Now, I don't know anything about any drugs in any spare tire.
Appears to me that you're interrogating the wrong individual here, Captain. I suggest that you get a hold of Norman Elliott. Or Mr. Charles Carpenter. Though I can tell you from past association that neither one of them's exactly a choir boy.
Well, Mr. Carpenter's already here, Mr. Dunbar. We're holding him.
Past work?
Oh, well, I don't know how much longer we can hold him. His bail is being posted.
Well, how much bail for the boy here? Whatever it is, I'll pay it. Oh, look, you can see he's innocent.
Well, we have some evidence that might indicate that, but he still has to be booked.
I understand.
Oh, I told you this thing didn't make any sense.
Look, Weaver, I don't think you understand. You were caught in a drug bust, and it leaves an ugly taste in my mouth.
All right, just what is the bail for the young boy? Look, you cannot keep him in jail and let Carpenter buy his way out of here.
Okay, Mr. Dunbar. You go see Sergeant McCoy, okay, Weaver? He'll set you bail.
Yeah.
You make yourself available, okay?
Sure.
Go on, get out of here.
You and I have a lot to talk about, young man.
Oh, man, this is gonna ruin me. I get thrown at the football team kicked out of school for this.
Your hindsight is just amazing. Do you know how close you came to disaster, boy? I mean, real disaster. That other stuff is nothing compared to this. Oh, come on, get out of here. It's past my bedtime.
I want to know exactly how and why this thing happened. You go through it one more time. Where did you get this shipping order?
It was in with all the others. I didn't think anything about it.
You're not paid to think. You're paid to follow orders, and right now those orders are giving us an awful lot of trouble. Who else knew about this order?
No one except Joey Hassler. Nick was away. He was out on his yacht.
You sure that Hassler was the only one who knew? Now, you think.
Well, I did come in here and ask Mr. Carpenter if he knew anything about it.
And?
He said that he didn't. He said that that wasn't his end of the business, that Nick took care of all of that.
Trench.
He just told me to follow orders and then not to ask any questions, and that's exactly what I did.
And Nick signed it.
Yeah, his signature's on it.
What about Russ Weaver? What did he know?
Nothing, as far as I know. But, you know, you never can tell with that guy. He's tied in with the Davidsons somehow, and he might have known something about it.
No. Set himself up for a bust? It's got to be somebody on the inside. You, Elliot, what was it that you told Weaver to do?
I just gave him the bill of lading and told him to stop at Gino's Diner.
And he never questioned it?
No.
Well, what happened then?
Well, I followed the truck to make sure that the transfer went okay. Of course, it didn't. The place was crawling with cops.
And they arrested him?
Yeah, they handcuffed him, and that's when I got out of there.
I'm getting out of here, kid. If you got any hopes of living past the age of 30, you keep your mouth shut. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
You get in touch with Carpenter somehow. You tell him we're going out of the trucking business. If he doesn't like it, ask him if that daughter of his can swim the Atlantic. You got the message? Well, you see to it he gets it.
You know I'm going to be released. You also know I'm not going to say anything. Those are my rights.
Forgive me for taking your time, Mr. Carpenter. I hope it's not too much of an inconvenience. I just wanted to speak to you before you left us.
Speak away.
You know what bothers me about you? You make me sick. Underneath that well-cut suit of clothes you're wearing and those nicely manicured fingers, you're just as corrupt as any bum I could drag in off the street.
I think I'd be just a little careful of what I said, Captain. It might return to haunt you.
You don't scare me, Carpenter. One of these days, I'm going to nail you, and nail you good. You won't like it in here.
Is this little oration doing you any good?
Yeah, it's doing me an awful lot of good.
It's also very clear to me that you don't have any evidence against me. A truck of mine was hijacked. Now, how long am I going to have to sit here and listen to you make speeches?
As long as I say so. You know, I got a little more on you than you think, Carpenter. The folder says no previous arrests.
That's correct.
Never spent a day in jail, huh? Never a night in prison? Do you know what it's like? Huh? Cooped up in a 5x8 cell. No diversions. No privacy, no 5 o'clock cocktails.
Captain Rousseau, I think we both know I'm innocent.
Innocent? Don't use that word to me, mister. The kid who's talked into shooting up with junk for the first time now, he is innocent. The old couple that gets mugged by some punk who needs money for his drugs. They're innocent. The unborn baby who's a junkie because his mother's an addict. That's innocence.
I'm a businessman. I own a trucking firm. That's all.
You had a kid in here earlier. Works for your trucking concern. At least he did. His name was Russ Weaver. You hired him.
Is there any law against that?
No. He's just one of those innocents that got sucked into being the wrong place at the wrong time.
You know, whether you choose to believe it or not, Captain, Dearborn Express does a lot of good for people like Weaver.
You haven't heard a word I said, have you? Yeah, McCoy.
Carpenter's release forms. He's free.
Your personal effects are at the front desk. Mr. Carpenter, you cost the organization money. Big money, and they don't like that too much. Cement boots are a little old-fashioned, but they have other ways of destroying a man. Maybe you're on their list.
Captain Russo's office. Yes, sir. Hold on, please. It's Judge Dirk. Wants to know if we still have Carpenter in custody.
Tell the judge he's free.
Your Honor, he's been released.
You know, McCoy, what with crooked politicians and corrupt judges and an informer somewhere around this place, I'm wondering who's closing in on who.
Well, this is a surprise.
Are you doing up so late? You haven't waited up for me after a date since I was in high school.
Well, you might say I was detained after work.
Oh, really? What was that?
Well, I was held for questioning by the police.
Father?
Oh, no. It wasn't serious. They let me go. They had to. Where did you leave Trench?
Well, after we docked, there was a message waiting for him. You should have seen the expression on his face when he heard about the police at Gino's. He turned white as a sheet.
He didn't drive you home?
No, are you kidding? As soon as he got that message, his mind just seemed to go blank. He just took off, left me sitting there. I had to take a cab home. It cost me $22.
Well, he's running scared. He has to. He doesn't want to meet Vince until tomorrow, and now he's trying to figure out what happened, and he simply is not going to be able to.
Huh. Well, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. You know, just before he ran off, he mentioned something about being framed.
Well, Vince will never believe that.
Well, here we sit, sipping our cocktails. While the bad guys are out to cut each other's throats.
You know, Mim, I want to get out of this business. I'm simply not cut out for it.
I'm sorry for coming down on you so hard back there, son, but when you called me from that police station, you had me worried some. This is nasty business you got yourself involved in.
Yeah, I know, Mitch. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's all my fault anyway.
Well, not entirely. These types have a habit of taking unfair advantage of people. They get you, and then they use you, make it darn near impossible for you to pay back any debt to them.
Yeah, tell me about it.
You could run into serious confrontation with Carpenter's group. You know that.
Yeah, I thought about that. What can I do?
Well, now, if they approach you for any reason whatsoever, you go and tell Captain Russo about it. Tell him everything. Let him decide what it is you should do.
Yeah, I will.
I'll tell you one thing for sure. Your association with Dearborn Express came to a roaring halt right there at Gino's Diner. You have that bill of lading that Elliot gave you?
No, they took along with the drugs.
Well, now, let me understand this for sure. It was Norman Elliot who told you you had to stop at Gino's Diner.
Yeah, it was Elliot.
Nothing in writing?
No.
Too bad. They could have nailed him with that, but mark my words, Norman Elliot's days as a free man are numbered.
I gotta tell you something, man. I have really screwed up my life. Especially everybody that I've cared anything about.
Well, now, my old daddy used to say, when you undress for bed, undress your mind. Leave your worries until the rooster crows.
Yeah, that's a little easier said than done.
Well, sure. That's good advice. It makes sense. But then who's got the sense to follow good advice?
What did your daddy say about scandals for football players?
Well, now, I'm afraid my daddy didn't know too much about football. His game was pitching horseshoes, sometimes with a horse still in them. No, but if he were forced to comment on a situation like this, I think he'd say, son, no sense looking for trouble, because it always has a way of finding you.
Yeah, I was afraid you were going to say something like that.
Good luck on your game tomorrow.
Well, 1 o'clock in the morning isn't exactly the coach's idea of curfew.
Well, don't worry about that coach or Kingsley College. When old Mitch talked to him, I'll set him straight.
Yeah, let me tell you something, Mitch. I want to thank you for getting everything straightened out and helping me out, and most of all for telling Captain Carr that you're a friend of mine.
I am, son. I am. And don't you forget that, not for one little bitty minute. Yeah?
Here.
Nothing like an unexpected guest, is there, Nick?
Well, Vince, I thought we were going to see each other tomorrow.
Thought I'd catch you off guard. Didn't want you to have that luxury.
What do you mean?
Time, Nico. Time. No time for you to have any creative thinking.
No alibis, Vince. I got nothing to lie about. I didn't tip anybody off. I didn't breathe a word to anybody.
Haven't accused you yet.
Yeah, but I know what you're thinking.
You don't know a thing, mister. How long have we been importing? 7 years? And everything went smooth, never a hitch. Had friends in this business, dying for a piece of the action. But we stuck together.
Well, Vince, we're still together.
Shut up! I remember the day you came to work for me. I led you over to the window in my office and pointed down on the street, and I said, look at them people, Nick. Never trust them. Never trust a soul. Only the men in the organization do you trust. Our work, your hands, always together, no matter what happens. But you thought that was garbage, didn't you? Yeah, you think being slick is the same as being smart. Loyalty means nothing to you, not a thing. Why did you tip off the police?
Vince, I didn't.
Why?
Vince, you know I didn't. Look, I mean, what would I gain from that?
Chicago, Richmond.
Oh, Vince, you know better than that. I am not next in line. Look, if I wanted that, I would work hard to help you so that you could put a word in for me in New York. Put a word in for the organization. I'm just not stupid enough to pull that kind of power play.
Who is then?
I'm not sure. I don't trust Rust Weaver. I never did.
Rust is clean. He's a good kid. He wouldn't do a thing like that.
Look, Vince, I know you're close, but he hated the company. He wanted out.
Hey, credit him with the same intelligence you've got, okay?
So what about Davidson?
If he had access to that kind of information, he wouldn't have just sent a note to the police. He would have spearheaded the whole bust himself.
Yeah, but you had him running scared. He was pulling this whole thing at arm's length.
Trench. That leak came from the inside.
All right, but it wasn't me. It wasn't me, Vince. And it wasn't Elliot, and it wasn't Hassler. They wouldn't have even been at the scene of the arrest. Our drivers don't know anything. And our runners were too responsible. I mean, they owe us something.
It was Carpenter, you fool. He forged your signature to the bill of lading. Then he used your typewriter to type the note to the police. Then he politely stepped outside the crossfire until the only thing that was left standing was a fleet of trucks, your company, and his good name.
And you knew this all along?
I'm not sure of it yet. Look, we both know Carpenter. He's all spit and no polish. He's got a face for every occasion. But to try something this obvious, I don't think he's got the guts.
Miriam.
Who?
I've been seeing his daughter.
Yeah?
Yeah, but what you don't know is I took her on a trip with me. First she refused, and there was some rough action.
She went crying home to Daddy?
Better yet, he walked in on us.
Yeah, you hit him?
Not exactly.
It's Carpenter. His pride runs deeper than his intelligence.
Look, Vince, I have made some mistakes, but I can make them up to you if you'll let me take care of Charlie.
Oh, no. No need for that. Besides, I've been in this game long enough to know that a grand jury investigation is right around the corner. It always starts with some crusader. That leads to a couple of busts until public pressure builds up, and then some headline-hungry politician steps in and demands an investigation. The last thing we need right now is a murder pinned to us.
So what do you want to do about Charlie?
You want to kill him? No need for that. We already own 90% of his business. We buy him out. We evict him from his little condo, which we also own. Then we steal his stock options. Let his corporate friends know that he's a walking curse. We leave him and his daughter with a threat. This time tomorrow, Charles Carpenter is out of money, out of work, and on the street.